Riders Excursion and Tours weekly e-bike rides. Gather your family and friends for an unforgettable ride through stunning landscapes. Book your adventure today at ridersabike.com or call 473-422-1011. Don't miss out. Let's ride.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And of course, welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Club. It's Friday, July 5th. It's a fantastic Friday, and we're going to be unbottling all sorts of stuff today. Of course, this morning, I always encourage you to be grateful. And I think there's so much that each of us can be grateful for. And if you ignored being grateful before, I think with the passing of Hurricane Beryl, I think it might have encouraged you to be more grateful or to practice being grateful. This morning, I'm grateful for, of course, life. I'm grateful for the compassion that I see being, shared out there to those people who suffered as a result of Hurricane Beryl. I'm grateful that I survived Hurricane Beryl. I'm grateful that there's still good people in Grenada, because I'm seeing so many people walking the walk and not just talking the talk. I am grateful for discernment. I'm also grateful for the leadership of the country. Yeah, and I can say that because I've seen so much leadership happening as a result. And, I want to use a word that Donald Trump uses all the time: tremendous leadership happening in the country right now. And I'm grateful that despite the pressure and the fear, that I'm still comfortable saying what I want to say, and not worrying about you guys who often want people to jump on the bandwagon because that new thing called cancel culture. I'm grateful that I still live in a country where I can say what I mean and mean with what I say without succumbing to the peer pressure, fear of trying to fall in line or toe the line, so to speak. So it's a fantastic Friday. Of course, we've got to give the Almighty praise and thanks for waking us up today. I also want to take this opportunity to express condolences to the family and friends who would have lost loved ones as a result of Hurricane Beryl. But there's still so much for us to be grateful for. Folks, you're tuned into the Wake Up Club. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be discussing what irks Kirk. And then, despite everything that's happening, we're going to be speaking with my very good friend, clinical psychologist, Dr. Moses Rodriguez. And we're going to be touching on all the different things that are happening. Because I can tell you, as a result of Hurricane Beryl, I also discovered that I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of Hurricane Ivan. We'll be right back, folks.
Pick yourself up with Ride Rent a e-bike today and take advantage of the smartest and coolest way to get around. Rental starting for only $30 per hour and less than $100 EC per day. Zip through traffic, save money, and look awesome doing it. Check us out at the Esplanade Mall today. Visit us online at ridersebike.com or give us a call at 473-422-1011. Your wallet and the planet will thank you. Ride Rent a e-bike.
Hey folks, welcome back. Of course, you're tuned into the Wake Up Club. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. And of course, this segment is called What Irks Kirk. And I don't have the energy to be angry about it. In fact, I'm very sad about it because it's a sad situation. Now, we know Hurricane Beryl passed and a lot of people, lost their property. There was loss of life. But there's so much to unpack with the passing of a hurricane. And yes, I want to commend all of you out there who are walking the walk and not just talking the talk. Because I'm seeing a lot of people on social media, and even when I pass through and I'm driving the length and breadth of Grenada, I'm seeing so much of you helping your brothers and sisters. But then there's so many of you that are just helping yourself on social media, trying to appear to be concerned, but all you're really doing is running your mouth. We have something called cancer culture. So some of you I want to also call it call out culture. Some of you are sitting on social media in the comfort of your homes. You have internet, you have lights, you probably have water right now. And the easiest thing for you to do when you wake up is to go on social media and to criticize people. Some of you are even sitting there calling out organizations. I wonder if this one donate. I wonder if that one donate. I'm wondering if you did anything to help. Are you helping? Or are you just helping yourself and your ego by sitting down there on social media and pointing out, I wonder if Huggins did this. I wonder if Real Value did that. I wonder if Ram do that. Okay? I wonder if Mount Pure do that. What are you doing? What are you doing to help people? No, honestly, because some of you all go vexed this morning. What are you doing? Oh, well, I'm not drinking this no more if they don't help. What are you doing? What happened if people canceled you? Yeah, you looking at this program right now. What happened if people canceled you? They saw you for the person you are, somebody who loves to jump on social media and be the expert at everything and run your mouth about everything. What have you done? What have you done? Have you dropped a bottle of water, a case of water, a can of milk, a can of tuna? What have you done? Besides sitting down and criticizing the government, sitting down and criticizing corporate Grenada, what have you done for your brother and sister? And let me tell you why it irks me. It irks me. Now I understand we have a generational gap. Okay? So a lot of the young people, the mass of the population, probably were children when Hurricane Ivan passed, or probably weren't even born yet. So you don't understand the magnitude of waking up one morning and having nothing, having your entire life gone. So it's easy to sit on social media and pass judgment. What are you doing? You can't afford. You'll find all sorts of excuses. Well, let me tell you the one thing you could afford to do. Shut up if you have nothing good to say. Okay? And they say when you give of yourself is when you truly give. Walk down and volunteer somewhere. Because some of you will have too much time on your hands. Some of you want to criticize corporations because they give in and they posting images of them giving. Yeah, I could sit down and argue about that too, but the fact is that they're giving. Let's look at the bigger picture. What are you doing? Some of you doing absolutely nothing. But some of all your employment, all your job is to sit down on Facebook and criticize people. Yeah, I prefer if you give without wanting the publicity for giving, but I also understand corporate Grenada. But right now there are people in Carriacou, in Petit Martinique, on the northern side of the island, who woke up and lost everything they've worked for their entire life. So do I want to look at the bigger picture? I am happy that corporate Grenada is giving. And I don't have time to sit down and criticize whether they take a picture or they take a photo. They gave. What did you do? Absolutely nothing but run your mouth. Yes, you. Run your mouth. Listen, there's a lot of things that irked me this morning. That irks me. You know what irks me as well? A friend of mine sent me an image of a boat that went up to Carriacou with supplies. And when the boat come back down, a lady was coming off the boat, but she bagged full of a whole set of box juice. Now, maybe I take it wrong. Maybe they went to Carriacou and it had enough juice there that she had to bring back some. I had to try to look at the bright side of it. And when we speak about that, there are a lot of you out there that are wicked, nasty people who are taking advantage of the situation. You're taking advantage of the situation. Every time there's despair, there are those vultures that come out to help themselves. Stop it. Stop it now. There are people who are in need more than you are in need. There are people in need more than you are in need. Stop stocking up under your bed for Christmas as a result of the crisis. Now, it's hard for us to discern. There's so many different, everywhere you turn, somebody raising funds. Please practice discernment and know who is legit. If you have to question so many things, there is NADMA. You know NADMA is there for the cause. Don't be taken advantage of. And you people watching, encourage people to show compassion. Show compassion. Don't take advantage of a dire situation. Some of us are just wicked and have nasty behavior. You know, like you go to an event and you have to tote a set of food home. Some of us even want to tote some of the charity home because we have nasty, stinking behavior. I'm sorry, that's the only way I could describe it. It irks me this morning. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to Dr. Moses Roderick, and we're going to be talking about something that's very important, especially to people who suffer traumatic situations like a hurricane. We're going to be talking about the mental issues. The mental issues. We'll be right back.
Today. Located inside Ryder Excursion at the Esplanade Mall, we handle both small and large orders with speed and precision. For fast, quality t-shirt printing, call Instaprint at 473-422-1011. Get your perfect print today at Instaprint. Printing done in an instant.
Welcome back. And of course, I want to welcome my very good friend, Dr. Moses Roderick, clinical psychologist. Moses, welcome to the program. I had to try to kind of shake off that what irks Kirk segment because it gets me so upset. Now, last week, Tuesday, I couldn't come on the program. And I realized I couldn't come on the program because, number one, I live alone. And I realized that I never knew it before, that I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of Hurricane Ivan. Because I was sitting here, I live alone, or they don't come behind me, or they might come walking, but or they'll go back limping, okay? I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder because there was so much anxiety. There was so much fear. I was eating everything in sight in preparation of this hurricane barrel coming. And when I unboxed it, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people that are displaced. They woke up losing everything they've worked for their entire life, not to even mention the fear of everything crumbling around you and wondering if you're going to live. So there's so many issues to tackle. Not only do they need aid in order to bring themselves back up, you know, the financial aid, the food, helping them rebuild. There's so many things to unpack. You have fear and anxiety, you have grief and loss, you have trauma and of course post-traumatic stress disorder, you have depression and emotional exhaustion, you have social isolation and displacement, you have survivor's guilt, and you have the financial stress. I know it's a lot to unbottle in 45 minutes, but Dr. Moses, I need you, and there are people that need you.
Yes, Kirk. Good morning and good morning, fellow riders. Definitely, of course, first of all, just to really move along the words of what Kirk stated, it is very sickening, and I must say that first, because it's sickening, it irks my spirit as well. When persons exploit a natural disaster situation for their own personal gain and convenience, this is not a time where persons should be trying to get material things and know that others need it more than us. But that's a whole different topic by itself. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, today we are going to look at addressing the emotional impact of Hurricane Beryl. And I think we can also streamline and even put the process of what happened to us during Hurricane Ivan, because that is more or less juxtaposed and linked in itself. But looking at the trauma in itself, in fact, I want to just share this morning that, of course, as Kirk would have stated, PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. This particular mental health condition can develop in individuals who have actually the experience a traumatic event. And you might be asking, what's a traumatic event? A traumatic event is actually a shocking event, a scary event, right? A dangerous experience that actually affects us mentally and also physically. And so this morning, I want us to really understand by disclaimer that it is important to understand this. Hurricane Beryl would have done a lot of mass destruction. We know, we have seen it on July 1st, and Hurricane Beryl is still out there doing mass physical destruction, right? And so now we have to look at the main thing as well, that it has done mental destruction on us as well, right? And so we cannot hide from that particular aspect. Okay, so looking at the trauma, looking at what came from Hurricane Beryl, what came from Hurricane Ivan, because I mean, it's safe to say that even in Hurricane Beryl, many of us remembered Hurricane Ivan, right? Especially because we saw the lead up that Hurricane Beryl will be more devastating than Hurricane Ivan. So that brought on the regress behaviors of us and so. But looking at the hurricane and its emotional impact on us, I want to just share this very much more or less in opening that you see PTSD, it interferes with our daily life. It will interfere with our relationships. It will interfere with our overall well-being. And so after this entire category 4 and even category 5 in some instances, this hurricane, we had flashbacks of Hurricane Ivan. I'm sure everyone can share that. We had flashbacks of Hurricane Ivan. We had flashbacks of all the trauma that we went through. And so the thing is, all these distressing memories, images, right? Physical sensations. We were avoiding people even from now, from the 1st of July to now. Some persons were actually avoiding people. They were avoiding places in Grenada. They were avoiding activities because it reminds them of Hurricane Ivan. So I just want to share this right now. I know, I don't want to jump the gun, but I just want to put it out there, Kirk and fellow riders, that there is an emotional impact that this devastating hurricane left on Grenada, Carrico, and Petit Martinique. And I think we need to put it on that pedestal as well, just as we say, well, okay, physical destruction was made, mental destruction has also been made.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to yes, we want to help everybody who has suffered. Some of us more than others, because some of us can identify with waking up and losing everything we've worked for all our lives.
Mm-hmm.
But I want us to not forget that the people of Carrico and Petit Martinique, the people on the northern side of the island who would have been affected by Hurricane Beryl,
Mm-hmm.
don't only need a new roof, a new house, a new TV, food, that the greater damage is the mental damage of losing everything. You know, how do they feel now? Yes, you're bringing food, you're bringing all of that, but there must be some level of hopelessness that is there. There is that despair, and we have to remember to find a way to fill that void there. The whole mental trauma of experiencing it. You could give me how much food, you could give me how much blocks, but mentally, we've got to be able to reach out to our people.
Definitely. And so I'm happy you brought up that, Kirk, because honestly, we focus on replenishing the physical things that have been lost. But what is food? What is clothes? And what is shelter when someone goes through like what we call in psychology hyperarousal? And hyperarousal will be difficulty sleeping, and that is caused by the trauma. Difficulty eating, okay? Irritability. Some people will be hypervigilant. They will have constant alertness. And let's look at regress behaviors in children. Okay. Some children will actually wet their beds. All right. Some children will have thumb sucking. Some children will actually go to the point of thinking that there is another storm out there coming, which is worse than burial. And so as we replenish the physical things, which is more or less, yes, primary, we look at also this need of helping persons get shifted to a better balance. Because I mean, personally, I think all of us here know this, we may get a lot of humanitarian aid, but if we don't get that psychosocial support, how are we going to sleep at night? How are we going to understand that we are at a depressive mode, right? How are we going to understand, well, hey, I need counseling. I need to get back in, and don't even get me started on relative separative anxiety when people like me have my extended family in Grenada, have not been hearing them for hours, right? And persons all in America, UK, Australia, Canada have their families. They up to this moment, I understand because people have been contacting me that people haven't heard their families as yet. Okay? Don't even get me started on the sadness that comes with those being missing for about 2-3 days. Their relatives abroad don't know what to do. Okay? And so all of these had an emotional impact. And I think it is evident, and I think it should be addressed because it is just as important as the physical impact.
Totally agree. And I think we also have to look at yeah, everybody's been affected, but I like to use personal examples. I remember my grandmother after the passing of Hurricane Ivan, and I remember she was never the same person. She lived years after Hurricane Ivan, but to a great extent, her memory stopped at Hurricane Ivan.
Right.
And as you mentioned, children, and sometimes I don't even think the adults, because you're looking to shelter your children, but a lot of us don't have the skill. We don't have the know-how. We're also suffering from the trauma. We've got a lot of vulnerable people out there, and to be quite honest with you, I'm not an expert on everything, and I really don't know where to start. It might be simply starting by being a friend and being a genuine friend.
Definitely. You see, the thing is, I like to say, and this is true, that we as adults, we often put on a brave face in times of distress, at times of disaster. We are actually holding up a brave face, sometimes a fake face. Sometimes I don't know what face it is. But it's always essential to prioritize our own mental health, right? During this aftermath of a serious, deadly, devastating, dangerous hurricane. And so we're looking at self-care for the adults. We're looking at self-care because we want to make sure that the stress and the anxiety is managed, right? And just as, you see, the thing is, I want to put it out there, if nobody doesn't understand this, the children were affected, right? The adults were affected. The elderly were affected. The government were affected because at the end of the day, no one prepared. Well, we prepare, yes, But mentally, we see this system forming in less than 24 hours, in less than 48 hours. Who prepares for something like that? Maybe we have been preparing for a little tropical storm. Maybe we were preparing for a little storm surge. But when we see that Madame Beryl was just building strength, then the depression came. Then the anxiety came. It from the highest person in society to the lowest person. And I think what I need to address as well, I think the lesson learned in Kariku is that everyone, because based on my research, the statistics show 98% of the property were damaged, and you're looking at an A plus there. That's like 100% if you round it off. The person with the biggest house to the person with the smallest house, they get touched. So Hurricane Beryl, right, did that emotional impact on children, high persons, low persons, persons on the top scale of socioeconomic status. You're rich, or somebody who is down, low, and poor. Everyone get touched. And so that is where we call for that address. We call for that, approach and navigation to better mental health, because at the end of the day, this emotional impact can tell us that we're lost. We don't know where we are as people. Yes, we lost our houses, but we're losing our minds. Okay? Just imagine 2004, Hurricane Ivan. Let's just say someone in Sotez, because Sotez got a good impact as well, sadly. You build your big fancy house, not knowing that 20 years after, that house will go down straight on the ground. Right? So at the end of it all, we're looking at the emotional effects. And I think every time I get emotional, because at the end of it all, we have this notion that nothing matters but physical things, right? I see persons every day, Kirk and Riders, they go through emotional things. And I think it's important to tap in to our emotional capabilities, our emotional weaknesses. And so let's talk about that. Let's address these things. Hurricane Beryl shook us up, not physically alone, but mentally. We have a hard time mentally.
But Doc, as a people, I know we're always afraid to talk about our emotional health. And we are living in a world I can't say forget about Hurricane Beryl, but let's just put Hurricane Beryl aside for a second. People are naturally dealing with mental health issues because of the natural pressures of life.
Right.
Okay? And I am looking at it, so I'm also seeing a lot of anger, and I'm glad you talked about it. No government is prepared for what happened. None. And there are some people that are so angry that, they're making it political. Oh, my house gone and the minister didn't show up, but the minister hasn't showed up yet because it's not you alone. And, and I understand because, I understand the anger and I have to express patience with the anger, but there's so much to unbottle. Now, as a person who knows people who have been affected. Okay. Now I was affected. I remember 2 days ago I was having a hot shower in the bathroom, and I felt so guilty because technology is not what it was 20 years ago. I remember having to wait 6 months to get electricity back. After Ivan, I had electricity back the same night because I wasn't affected as badly as others. But I was having a simple shower and feeling mentally drained, unhappy. I went to work the following day and people were talking about the hurricane, and I had to walk away. As a person, what sort of support can I give to my friend? Because you're the clinical psychologist. What can I do? Yes, I am doing my part by helping physically, food stuff, all of those different things, clothing, all of that. But I don't know, what can I do? I don't know where to begin to offer that mental support to someone I know. I really don't. I don't know what to say.
Well, that's good because you see, the thing is, I say this to everyone: you don't have to be a professional to give support. And the first thing I will share with you, Kirk, fellow riders, and even the nation, even the Caribbean, even the world who is watching today, the first thing you do, and it's the easiest thing to do, is to stay connected with others, right? To
Okay.
stay connected with others, right? This involves calling someone. This involves showing up at someone's home. This involves asking persons, what can I do to help? Right? And this also involves being the friend to others. There is something called in sociology and psychology a gatekeeper, someone who stands in the gap to help others. And I believe all of us should be sent. We should be gatekeepers to each other. It's just as how the Bible says, our brother keeper, our sister's keeper, right? So that's the first and foremost thing. Now, our next thing is that we want to make sure that we are open and we have that safe and non-judgmental place for others. Because here, what happens? I have seen, even in these few days, persons making remarks on Facebook. So why she build that stupid house? That house, I told her about that house before. That house would mash up, right? Why didn't she batten down her window? Why didn't she did no judgment, right? Because at the end of it all, I think it's out there right now. We all know the impact of a category 4, category 5 hurricane. We can never be too prepared for such magnitude, right? So some persons will do with the best resources they have. And some persons, yes, some persons are lackadaisical, some persons are slack, but we stand in the gap to be non-judgmental and to help persons understand that we are there, okay? And we can offer support. The next thing that we do is, of course, we look into um practicing gratitude. Did you know that some persons will see, just as you would have started, Kirk, the gratitude that really illuminates from us, they too can be full of gratitude. One thing that I love about Kariku people, okay, and I've seen it over the years, I've seen it even in the past few days, they are very resilient. So you would see them on the news, they would be like, oh gosh, the house gone, right? Or oh gosh, this, oh gosh, that, and whatever. But we will rise again. We shall rise again. And so that kind of attitude is that, of course, we would want to have in ourselves so that we can move forward to impacting someone to be better, right? Yes, Kirk.
Yeah.
So I see someone had a question, but I'm not sure if you would want to address it. Yes.
No, I didn't see the question. You remember what
I
the
think it's
question
on the
was?
screen. It said, "Sir, what advice?" I'm not sure if you can see it.
So what advice? What?
So, what advice can you give people who do not have no connection to the outside world?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if you want me to address that because I just saw
No,
it came.
go ahead. Go ahead. Let's
Right.
address
So,
it.
what advice can I give to people who do not have any connection to the outside world? And I want to know what it means, like any connection. Is it that a power outage and we
Well,
don't have?
there are a lot of people who have
Mhm.
not been able to reach out to their loved ones because, I think not all networks are fully up right now.
That's it.
Um,
Yes.
I know that Digicel announced that their network is up, but you're also dealing with there not being power on the island. So some people are having challenges charging their devices and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah. So my best advice, and it's something that helps you as the person who cannot understand or don't know what's going on, and also for your own mental health. And there are a lot of advice I can give, but one thing I want to share is you focus on what you can control in your immediate environment, right? And so there are things that we just cannot control. We don't know. We know, of course, that the hurricane has been so much so depleting everything around us. So then, of course, hear this. We can't get along with that person on the phone. Sometimes we can't even travel from US to Grenada to see that person. So focus on what you can control. Practice self-compassion by acknowledging that feeling anxious is a bit normal during this time, because now you don't know what to expect. So that's a kind of common feeling. Then, of course, I think it's safe to say that we as Grenadian are loving people, okay? So let's just say that you can't hear your loved one. There must be, Grenada is small, Carriacou is small, or, there must be someone you can connect who knew that family member or who knows that family member who will be so, so very considerate enough to walk by the house and say hi. Your father or your brother from away said hi. They want to make sure that you're safe, and that person will relay that message back to you. Okay, so I think it's all about, maybe even this question means that we need to be better connected as a country, because we just don't know what will happen. Everyone should be starting living with love, acceptance rather than hate. And this brings me to the point that there are some people who have enemies during the hurricane. That tree fall down, that person's this fall down and that and whatever, and big enmities happen during the hurricane. It's not a time for enmities, and it's not a time for saying, well, hey, I ain't talking to you and whatever. This was a massive hurricane. So if you were enemies with people 20 years right now, also jealousy, as someone said, 20 years from now, you are enemies with someone, Hurricane Beryl should tell you to be friends with the person once again. Because now you could have seen that we need each other in such a time like this.
Exactly. Dr. Roderick, let's just take a quick break and we'll be right back. Folks, you're tuned in to the Wake Up Club, of course, on the Ride Along Network. We'll be right back.
Riders Excursion and Tours weekly e-bike rides. Gather your family and friends for an unforgettable ride through stunning landscapes. Book your adventure today at ridersabike.com or call 473-422-1011. Don't miss out. Let's ride.
Folk, of course, welcome back to the Ride Along. Of course, the Wake Up Club. Of course, this morning we're chatting with Dr. Moses Roderick. He's a clinical psychologist, Grenadian by birth, of course, practicing in Guyana. And we're talking about, the impacts of Hurricane Beryl. And we're not just talking about the loss of property, the loss of life, loss of the physical things. We're talking about the important things to look at. We're talking about fear and anxiety. We're talking about grief and loss. We're talking about trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder. We're talking about depression and, of course, emotional exhaustion. And yeah, that's real. We're talking about social isolation and displacement. We're talking about survivor guilt. And we're talking about the financial stress of losing it all. Dr. Moses, I'm so happy that we're friends. Because when I thought about it and what I experienced myself, I said, yes, I want to help these people. But a lot of the help that these people need would not only be the physical, but would be the emotional help. So I'm happy to have you here. And yeah, we just answered that question. Hurricanes and natural disasters should bring us together.
Definitely.
It should void the political lines, because a lot of people are playing politics with it. And sometimes it's not even the politician that's playing politics, because no prime minister, no government is prepared for what has happened now. So we've got to practice patience. We've got to practice tolerance. We've got to practice the end all, love. Love for each other, love for our fellow man, despite our differences. Because right now, just as you said, 98%, we have to round that off to 100%. Okay? The rich, the poor, the middle class, those who have not, your enemy, your friend, your neighbor, everybody was reduced to zero.
That's it.
Dr. Moses, I can't even talk about unbottling the emotional stress. Okay? Now, As a parent, you have the burden of, number one, the responsibility of taking care of your parents, and you also have the responsibility of taking care of your children.
That's it.
And being the pillar of strength for both generations. But you've also suffered severe trauma. What advice are you giving to parents today?
Well, of course, this is an excellent question. I want to put it into two parts. First of all, parents, as you shared, we have our own children, and then we have our parents. We just have people that we are responsible for. I think I want to speak mostly on children, because hear this. I am seeing that children, no, I got calls, from the whole for the whole week so far, children being traumatized. So my word of advice for parents, because I'm sure we're looking at a lot of parents watching today, so I had some things to share to parents. And in fact, I want parents to help their children to cope. And here how you can help your children to cope. You can help them validate their feelings and acknowledging that it's okay to feel scared or upset. And listen, I'm going to be as so blunt like this. When the child is hiding below the bed when they hear a little thunderstorm after Monday, don't say, you're a stupid or what, right? You're a baba boy. How you stupid? So the hurricane passed already. Get to the program. That is what some parents will tell their children. So we want to validate their emotions. Let them know it's okay to feel a particular way. Let them know it's okay to feel upset. This is something that most of all of our children in this era never experienced, because Hurricane Ivan was a whole 20 years ago, right? So nobody felt it. So we cannot be too harsh on them. The next thing is that we, as parents, we want to reassure the children that they are safe and that they are protected by us, right? And I'm being practical in the sense of saying this, Kirk and Riders here today, that we assure our children of our protection during a hurricane, right? Not the child trying to come and hug up the mother and say, come out by me, go by your father in England who never mind you, right? That is what happens during these natural disasters. And so we want to be so practical. I'm going to be practical. We want to make sure that we have the children feel their emotions and monitor their behaviors as well. We're going to see children with behaviors like being isolated, being withdrawn, always being anxious, always nervous, having some signs like sucking fingers, and also things like wetting their beds. And so this is where we have to continue to protect our children, to love our children, and to help our children. Now, on the next side of it, and the next part of what I'm going to share is that parents, we need to understand that we too need help. And so I'm just going to be as practical again. I can only imagine all of the parents here today, right? Who have been, whether you're living in Carriacou, Pitamatic, Union Island, wherever, whether you're living there, you were mentally drained just knowing that a big Category 4 hurricane was coming. But those who practically had to be during the hurricane, trying to hold down their roof, trying to do this, trying to do that, to this point, you all are tired right now. Be gentle on yourselves at this moment. You just went through a hard time. It's time for you to rejuvenate a bit. You're not going to rejuvenate completely, because this trauma that was had during Hurricane Beryl is going to take a gradual process to get to that maximum point of recovery. But make sure that you do things, do activities. The main activity to do right now is to connect with those you love. Spend quality time with those you love so that you can feel happy. You can feel content. I am grateful that my mother did not die in the storm. I am grateful that my father did not die in the storm. That is the kind of attitude we should be having. And so this will really spiral an effect of happiness, content, gratitude, okay? But going to the point, Kirk, of actually looking at it as we need at this moment, okay, to practice self-care. treat ourselves well. Okay, we are mentally drained from the hurricane, and yet this. Not only that, because there are a lot of weather systems developing in the Atlantic right now. We don't know if Madam Beryl have a brother or sister, as we say, come in and lash us again. So we want to make sure that we're ready mentally and emotionally. Okay, we don't know what's going to happen.
But Doc, that's easier said than done.
I know it
Because
is yes and done. That is
because
why
for
Kirk.
me, yeah, I'm
That
just thinking,
yes, go ahead.
yes, you have to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But the I don't know. Listen, I don't want this program is about hope, but I
Yes.
have to be realistic
Mm-hmm.
and try to put myself in the body of somebody who just experienced this, the trauma of it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I know it's important to self-preserve at this time,
Yes.
but I want the viewers to know that it's easier said than done.
It is, and so that is why Kirk and viewers here today. That is why we should be aware of ourselves and what we need, and that is why I said, and I'm being very practical and real, because I'm not going to just come and say, well, hey, Hurricane Beryl hit us in July 1st, and we should just automatically recover. I said, of course, it's going to take a gradual process. It might take a long process in healing. So that is why, maybe primarily we can connect with others. We can try to laugh. We may not be able to laugh that much, but try to laugh. And the thing that will really boost our spirits is the
Mhm,
attitude of gratitude. Let me tell you this. I
mhm,
spoke to my one and only friend in Carriacou just yesterday. Listen, whole week of trying to get on to that
mhm.
person, right? And when I called him, I saw he responded, and he told me his roof was gone, right? His boat was gone, but he's alive. Okay? And that is what we have to stick with, because yes, it's hard to lose our properties, but you see that life that we have hope in the future, right? We have hope that we may be able to get a better house. We may be able to get something better in the future. And that is why the pinnacle moment is for us to be happy with the life that was preserved. Because we all know that had it not, wherever you believe in God, whether you believe in the universe, whatever you believe in, had it been for something worse, a lot of more persons would have died. And so now we're looking at the death news, we're looking at the sad things going on. This is when we sit in front of the computer, when we see someone die, someone missing. I am alive. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm alive. Okay? And that is what should spiral that gratitude in us. Gratitude will actually push us forward. And if we show that, it's going to reflect, it's going to mirror, and people are going to have happy and healthier lives just by our gratitude.
Mhm. Yeah, so I just want to take this opportunity to reach out to everybody tuned in or who
Mhm.
will be tuned in. I know that we're all living difficult lives. A lot of us who would have experienced Hurricane Ivan can personally identify with what's happening in Carriacou, Pitimatic, and on the northern side of the island. We know a lot of us are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder that we didn't even know we were suffering from. Please do your part, okay? Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. Don't just sit down on social media and criticize everything that you're seeing. Do your part. Some of us have this thing called false pride. We can't give so much, so we don't give nothing at all because we're embarrassed by it. Listen, I don't care if it's a can of tuna, a tin of corned beef. Do you do your part? But I want to stress the importance of reaching out to your brothers and sisters. It's a simple phone call to listen to them so that they can share their feelings, what they're going through. It is just common courtesy, common love. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's simple things that we have to do. If you're not, and listen, I always remember Khalil Gibran. When you give of yourself, it is when you truly give. Folk, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be chatting more with Dr. Moses Rodri, clinical psychologist. We're going to be talking about mental health. We're going to be talking about how you and I can better serve our brothers and sisters in Carriacou and Pitimatic and on the northern side of the island as a result of Hurricane Beryl. We'll be right back.
call me to lift the level, high the level, raise the level, up it, up it.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up, up, up several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.
You call me to lift the level, high the level, raise the level, up it, up it.
Welcome back, folk. Of course, you're tuned into the Wake Up Club, of course, on the Ride Along Network. I know you have choices. We're happy you're here with us this morning. Of course, sometimes I can't read all the comments, but I look at them after. So if there are any questions there, of course, I'll be sure to get back to you on it. Dr. Rodrigue, someone trying to reach out to you, how can they contact you? Because I know there are a lot of people looking at the program right now. And before we even do the wrap up, I don't want to lose sight of this. If someone is trying to reach out to you, because sometimes people want to help, but they don't know how to help, how can you be contacted?
Okay, sure, indeed. So I am on Facebook as Dr. Moses John Rodrigue. That is my Facebook handle. In fact, if you wish to contact me as well via phone, well, WhatsApp is also accessible. That will be, of course, you know, I'm in Guyana. I know this is a Grenadian-based program. The area code is 592-675 would be the number, 2448. So that's 592-675-2448. I can also try put it in the comments as well, so that persons can more or less copy paste it, save it in their notepads and so. But I will be so pleased in helping you. Well, thank you so very much for putting it there. Definitely. And I'm so happy to help. In fact, I'm going to be in Grenada to help you, right? I'm definitely going to be in Grenada. I'm leaving for Grenada this month to come help each and every one of you who are going through whatever you are, and that support is needed. So definitely, and also one of my colleagues would have put my some information there as well. So all of the information is being popped up in the chat. Let us connect. Let us be helped, because our mental health matters. All right, it matters.
It definitely does. And Dr. Rodrigue, it's a lot to unbottle in an hour, in under an hour.
Yes,
you
definitely.
know, but I just wanted to make sure that people understood that there was not just a physical need to restore people to the position they were in terms of a home and food and clothing, that the real need right now is that mental and that support. And if you don't want to call it mental support, the real need right now is love. Is loving your neighbor as yourself. It's offering that support. It's sometimes just listening to them, letting them know that I reach out to a lot of people, and I said to them, hey, thinking of you, what do you need? Of course, a lot of the response back was, I don't need anything. Okay, definitely. Because a lot of them are not even thinking of the physical. So folk, we've got to support our brothers and sisters, and you could support them by not putting ignorant statements on social media, not being judgmental of people's behavior on social media. Okay, understanding that your politicians some of them have never dealt with this before, and they're doing the best they can, and that they will get to you. They will get to you. It's patience, and I know it's hard to practice patience under despair. But of course, it's about loving each other. Dr. Rodrigue, last words of encouragement. As I tell you, I'm not an expert, I'm a human being navigating life and making mistakes as well. But I just want to be as real as possible.
And that's what that's what it takes. It doesn't have to be a professional speaking, but a real person speaking who makes mistakes as well, and also just wants to be real, just wants to help. Well, of course, before I share my last words, I want to thank Kirk and the Ride Along team for having me here today. And one thing before also I say my last words, let us not judge people, right? Let us not have that judgment. It is time to help each other. Your neighbor who you wasn't talking to, gotta help them, right? You want to talk to people who you were not talking to. You want to help people. Love is the answer for this moment and for the moments to come. But my last words in terms of looking at the emotional impact of Hurricane Beryl, I know we have to talk a lot more on this, but just understand that many were traumatized, many are depressed, many are still anxious, okay? And I want us to understand that our mental health is even important just as our physical health. I want us to support people. Go to someone today, call up a friend, offer a meal, right? Stop posting judgmental things on Facebook. Stop attacking the government. It's a new government. Yes, I'm not a political person, but it's a new government. They are using the resources that they have right now. No one was prepared for this. Not even me, not even you. So let us not judge people at this moment. Let us live in love. Let us live empowered. And let us understand that a catastrophe like this can happen tomorrow. It can happen next week. It can happen when we sleep in tonight. We just don't know. So let us live in love. Let us live as people as we proclaim to be. We go around saying Grenada is the best place to live. Grenada is a peaceful place to live. But we are nasty in our habits. We can't be doing that. We need to be loving. We need to be tolerant. We need to be accepting so that we can have a better country to be. Because Grenada is still the best place in the world, as we know. But it could be nasty when we don't do what we are called to do. And that is love, accept, not judge, okay? And help each other in their times of need. So thank you once again. And it was an honor. And, I'm very humbled to be on this platform this morning. And let us continue to love each other. Let us continue to build Grenada, because Grenada is still and will always be the best place to live.
Definitely, Dr. Roderick, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. And, I have to hats off to the Prime Minister and the government. They're doing a phenomenal job. I want to say hats off to NADMA, Party Grenada, Nazim Benjamin. There's so many people putting their money where their mouth is and walking the walk instead of just talking the talk. Nobody was prepared for this. So I want you to understand that you need to practice compassion. And some of you all believe in this cancel culture. If you want to cancel me because I'm saying what I'm saying, that's your business. I want you to do some self-evaluation and reflect on yourself. Nobody was prepared for this, okay? And the government, the people of Grenada, we are doing the best we can with what we have. And to be quite honest, they're doing a phenomenal job. Yeah, there are loopholes. Not everybody's going to reach everybody in time, but you've also got to practice patience and understanding. And of course, before I leave, to you wicked vermins out there that are taking advantage, okay, of the need of people to stock thing under your bed for Christmas. God watching you, He watching you. And to you people out there, if you are worried or you're concerned because you see GoFundMe here and GoFundMe there and all kind of fundme everywhere, if you have to think twice because you ain't know the person, call NADMA. Call NADMA. Reach out to your politician, whether in government or in opposition. Find the right medium to get your help to the people, because it has some nasty people out there that looking to take advantage of the crisis that we're in. Now, I don't want to leave you on doom and gloom. I want to tell you that we're living in goodness gracious Grenada. We need to practice gratitude. I want to extend my love and best wishes to all of you. Have a fantastic Friday, but remember to always share and practice love. Have a good one, folks.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money day.
We have just arrived at Karakou, and the National Disaster Management Agency is mounting a massive response effort to what has happened in Karakou. Now, the hurricane passed through mainland and Karakou and Petit Martinique. The devastation on mainland is not as severe as it is in Karakou and Petit Martinique. So we are going to meet here. We've just met with the minister, briefed him, handed over to Mr. McIntyre, who is going to be stationed here and be in charge of the relief efforts and the operations efforts here on Karakou and on Petit Martinique. So we've handed over to him, and then we will proceed to the Emergency Operations Center and we take it from there. As you will see, the level of devastation is significant, but with all the resources that will become available, resources from mainland and resources from other countries that have pledged support, we will ensure that the people of Karakou and Petit Martinique and Grenada to the north, we respond to them effectively, swiftly, to ensure that people are comfortable. This will take time because the devastation is quite massive. It will take some time, but we will assure the people, or we are assuring the people, that we will all get through this together.